Welcome back to the F-15C MSIP 2 F-15C. This thing is looking pretty spicy right now because it's very much an upgrade over the F-15A that we already have. I want to do a few things today. I of course want to take a look at the vehicle, how it flies, how it feels, and I also want to give you some BVR 101 because they lowered the multi-pad effect to 60 meters. It was 50 meters on the dev, so it's slightly higher. It was 100 in the previous iteration of the live game. And whether I like this change or not really. I think that in the future this will promote absolutely terrible gameplay, but it's what we are stuck with for now. And I'll just give you the 101 on how to defeat these missiles because it's not as straightforward as it used to be. You need to start cranking, notching, being aware of the MAR. And there's a lot of things to keep track of right now. I'll try to explain everything very briefly in this video. I'll make a more in-depth FOX-3 guide in the upcoming week or two. I want to do a little bit more testing. I want to get a little bit more gameplay. I want to use all the other vehicles as well. I want to make a guide that's actually going to be relevant for longer. Also, make sure for the love of God that you not assign that to something you use a lot. Shift A for the new weapon selector thing. It's already gotten me killed because I like to use Shift for throttle up. I'm using A to roll left. And guess what? It pops up a little menu and you have to press escape to get out of it. And mostly it takes a few seconds for you to really realize what's going on. And by that time you are already reversed. So in that clip, after killing the Su-27, guess what happens? I press Shift plus A, Mirage 2000 behind me, and I simply die. Be careful of the Mirage 2000, it got a new flight model. And that thing right now is absolutely filthy. Expect an update video on that very soon. Long story short, you get 6 Mika missiles, you get 2 magics and an updated flight model. Now, let's take a look at the F-15. What's good about it, what's changed about it, and what makes it so damn dominant. So, we have 240 internal countermeasures, which is fantastic. We have some very good high-speed acceleration, like you are used to at the F-15. You have a very solid flight model. It is slightly heavier than the F-15A. It isn't as nimble, but it comes pretty close and it's still very capable. You have a gun with 940 rounds. It's a Vulcan as well. Probably the best gun in top tier right now. Overall, a very solid kit. Then we look at the radar. You have all the modes that you need. You have TWS, you have HMS. Then of course the missiles. You have MRAMs, you have AIM-120As. They are pretty damn nimble. They do have a pretty good range, but more on that in a little bit. I'm running 6 plus 2. I'm running 6 MRAMs, 2 AIM-9Ms. And that's mainly because you never really get in range to use the AIM-9Ms. I've ran out of them once. I don't think it's that big of a deal. The MRAMs are much more important, especially when it comes to like defending versus other people that are shooting active radar homing missiles at you. And if you don't have enough of them, they can just push you into submission basically. And if you don't want to be a bottom, I recommend having a little bit more oomph when it comes to actually replying to people shooting missiles at you from medium range. If you don't have any MRAMs, if you don't have any FOX-3s, and people are shooting them at you, it is very likely that you are not going to be able to defend properly versus them, and you are probably going to die. F-15 looking to be the best plane overall in the game right now. Well, of course, I have to do a little bit more testing, so I do want to hold off on that verdict for a little bit, but even if it's not going to be the best, it's definitely going to be pretty damn solid. So, let's take a look at some of the gameplay. I first want to just kind of briefly go over it, and then I'll start explaining the actual BVR tactics that we are going to be implementing. So right now we are shooting at long range with TWS. The TWS locks them up. It gives you the ability to lock on with your AIM-120. And as long as you maintain the lock, it will guide itself towards the target until it goes pitbull at about 12 kilometers range. At that point, the missile does its own thing, and you don't have to guide it in anymore. It doesn't really give you benefit when you do, or at least it shouldn't. Enemy shooting missiles at us, so we start notching, we go cold. Cold is when you fly away from his radar signature. Hot is when you fly towards him. Notch is when you're going 90 degrees onto him, so you're basically flying perpendicular. Then you also have the MAR or the MAR, which basically means if you are within the MAR, the missile will be able to hit you because it has enough kinetic energy. And that's why I'm waiting here with my launch. I'm waiting for him to get a little bit closer so that my missile has more fuel, more speed, more maneuverability, and he will have a much harder time dodging. He's also already kind of cranking, so I don't want to waste my missile shooting at him. I'm just waiting, I'm holding on to the lock. He's 12 kilometers away, he's definitely within the MAR, but he's going kind of cold. The second he starts turning in, we launch off that missile, we start notching ourselves. We go defensive, we drop some chaff, we're keeping it notched, Missile is distracted, missile flies straight, and we start recommitting. I'm using the HMD here because we are at medium range. And I'll be able to get the launch a little bit quicker, waiting for him to turn in, and the second he does so, I launch my missile. Should have launched that one slightly earlier, but we are good for now. We dodge his missile, barely so, and he dodges ours. We recommit, we turn back in, we launch the missile, we are way within engagement range, so I don't have to get my nose on. I just launch it down, I turn away, he's forced to go defensive, and guess what? That is all she wrote. We are now going pretty slow, and there is a control on the top left, you can see him right there. There he is, we lock him up, but we only have AIM-9Ms left. Otherwise I would have just looked at him and he would have died. So there's two things I want to do here. I want to pick up my speed. I want to drop my fuel tanks for a little bit more maneuverability, because this J8F is very likely going to actually, well, just send the fight versus me. So we start pitching in because I have to go defensive. We drop the fuel tanks, we flare his missile, he gets reversed. And here we go, prime time F-15 now. So there's a few things that I want to do. The J8F, of course, holds the speed quite poorly. The J8F is very close to something like a MiG-21 bis. And I just want to kind of keep my speed up. And that's why I'm flying straight. And then I pull in. It offsets the loops a little bit. And it makes it so that I can just keep turning very well, while he just kind of flies in front of me until we drain his balls. Now my aim is going to be absolutely doo-doo dog shit. I haven't played the game in a while. I haven't flown an F-15 in a while. Offset gun. It's a little bit stiffer than I remember. So I was having some issues hitting this dude, but it doesn't really matter. It's a J8F. We have drained his balls at this point, and he can't really turn into the opposite direction. He can't do a 1 or a 2 circle, because it doesn't matter what he does. He doesn't have the energy to complete said turn, no matter which turn he makes. Now we crit him, he is not doing very well. We make sure to finish him off under the desk, and he flies into a tree. And that's all for that game. Only 2 kills, but you know, that's unfortunately how it's going to be for the most part when you are flying top tier. Especially now at patch day when everyone is just looking to trade. So after defending against 4 people at once at the start of the game, that's why I'm coming in from such a weird angle. I come in, we break off, we slam him, we notch the missile, and the missile just dies. That is ideal. This is of course not something that you can replicate all the time. It also depends on what missile your enemy is shooting at you. If it's an R-27ER for example, all I really need to do is just send a missile his way, and he is forced to kind of notch and go cold, and he will not be able to maintain track with his own radar for very obvious reasons. Now we are kind of caught out here. We are at altitude. We have everyone coming in from different angles. So I shoot 2 of the AIM-120s off, and then we simply go cold again. The missile behind me has no idea where I am, and we just dive to the deck. We have an F-15 on the right as well as an F-16, and then we also have some guy behind us that is locking us up right now. If they all engage me at the same time, I'm essentially done. Luckily, the Magic 2 of the Mirage on the right there shoots down the F-15, and he crashes into the ground. Now I'm trying to lock up the F-16 as he's turning in, but he's not really turning in quick enough, and I have to maintain the lock for a little bit longer, because otherwise I'm basically shooting my missile at a guy that's already notching, and that's a way to waste a missile. So instead, I'm simply going to fly away, I'm going to go cold, and there is the other F-16. Now he is flying at us, the other F-16 looks to be not going towards us, so instead, I'm just going to try to shoot the missile at him. Is it going to hit? No, it isn't. He uses terrain, missile isn't able to track. We drop our fuel tanks and we go into a bit of a high-speed raid fight. And I'm just trying to maintain my energy here. I'm going to try to sit at about 1000. I can go a little bit slower and I will be able to turn a little bit faster. But right now I'm just concerned about draining this guy's balls. 2 of the F-16s crash, another one gets team killed, and we are now stuck in this high-speed raid fight versus a guy that doesn't have much speed left. So we are now just going to kind of pitch in, use the HMD, lock him up, and we are going to fire this MRAM at him the second he comes out of his notch. Now he can't really shoot at us, and I'm going to make sure to actually defend versus him in case he shoots one at us. But he's way too slow, he isn't in the position, and he just eats shit and dies. Now let's take a look at some actual BVR stuff. So we have the TWS lock here. If you have seen the, well, Gaijin tutorial, if you can call it that, forget everything you saw there. It's not going to work out for you when it comes to effective gameplay. We locked him up at TWS, we wait for the missile to get a little bit closer, just makes the missile a little bit more reliable. You can shoot 8 at a time with the F-15C, but I really don't recommend you to do so unless, of course, you are like diving on 8 people at once. So we shoot 2 of our missiles off, we help the guidance a little bit longer, we notice that there are no contrails heading our way, we don't have an RWR warning, but we still start defending in case we need to do so. One of my missiles slaps an F-16 out of the air, the second MRAM unfortunately misses. We try to keep our altitude, we try to stay a little bit fast, and I'm just looking around to see if I see any contrails, if I see any missile trails, or if I see anyone that I can re-engage in the middle of the map. So I try to kind of stay notched to the middle of the map, but there's a MiG-29, he's moving very quickly, which means he's very close, so he's either above or below me. So I am just trying to get out of there to kind of reassess the situation. We fly away from the battle instead of into it. You see that my team is absolutely slapped down. And I need to re-engage. I need to make something happen right here. Because if I play it too passive, I'm going to get exactly nothing done. So we turn back in. We start using TWS. There's a lot of radar signatures. A lot of them are AI. A lot of them are teammates. And then you also, of course, have an absolute metric load of enemy players. We have a MiG-29 on the deck, an F-16 on the deck, and a Mirage on the deck. But the F-16 is flying directly at me. He's probably going to fly towards the F-16, trying to kill him. And now they're going to fly towards the F-16. So I just shoot 3 of my MRAMs off. I dive in. I hope for them to basically not do the correct thing. And one of them doesn't. The F-16 eats it, and he is going to be dying. The Mirage is disengaging. We start notching a little bit, but the F-16 gets slapped down. Our F-16 gets slapped down. And now we are on the 6 of this MiG-29 that probably doesn't know that we are here. I'm not going to lock him up. I'm simply going to shoot an AIM-9M at him. Yeah, if you don't flare those properly, you are going to be dying. And if you need help with flaring IRCCM missiles like the AIM-9M, Magic 2 or the R-73, I made a guide on that very recently. It will be at the end of this video at the splash card and you can just click it, or it's going to be in the description. Same thing here. We lock onto the guys climbing. I have 2 signatures. TWS cannot look at the third one on the right in the meantime because he's simply too far away. What do? We have some missiles coming in, so I start cranking. This way it will take the missile longer to get to me as they are flying directly at me, and I am already starting to notch once the missile gets close enough. So I turn around, I go cold, I drop some chaff, and my missiles do their thing because they are not taking evasive action, and I get a nice little double kill. And we are still being locked from behind. I'm staying cold for a little bit. I'm also making sure to kind of snake so that the missile has to pull, loses more speed, and there is the launch. It instantly burns up, so it's probably not going to be a high-powered missile, so I'm just going to be a little bit safer here in case it's like an IR. Kind of roll out of the way, we escape, and we are going to be re-engaging a little bit later. And with re-engaging, I mean I get clapped down in a head-on and we trade because I just engaged at too close of a distance and we weren't able to defend. We were just on the offensive. A little bit greedy, and that's why both of us died. Missile shot our way. I start notching, but I decide to just go cold because it's just a little bit safer. We fly away from him. We start dropping the fuel tanks because I have a feeling that this guy is going to fly directly at us, and we still have 60 minutes in the tank. Well, I'm running min fuel with, or like 60 minutes of fuel with the 2 drop tanks, which just gives you a lot of flexibility. We notch his missile. We lock him up. We don't have to get the nose on him. We bank out, we start notching, we go a little bit cold, we drop our chaff, he doesn't defend nearly soon enough, and he ends up eating it. And that is BVR. It's really not that enticing. Well, I can't really call it BVR because I could literally see him, but you know what I am saying. We then defend versus the missile, we turn out, we make sure to stay on the move. You don't want to just fly perfectly straight. And there we go, we survived another engagement. And started the game again. We are locking everyone up with TWS, and I'm just looking for targets that are spicy. They're either flying directly at you and not showing any signs of brain activity by flying perfectly straight. Like that guy on the right, you see that he launches and he instantly starts notching. At long range, there is no use shooting missiles at these people because your missile will probably not kill them, and you're simply gonna be wasting your missiles, which is gonna be a complete shame. But something like the F-15C, it's not as much of an issue because you have so many of them. But I still recommend you to simply not do that. We break off, we start chaffing, we go cold. After going cold for a little bit, I go into a light notch and we are just gonna start pitching back in. I'm gonna have a lot of distance here, but that's also a lot of those guys at altitude, and my guy just got slammed down by the Mika. So we want to be a little bit more careful. The Mirage is flying directly at us. He is at 22 kilometers, which means he's almost in the HMD range. So I'm gonna lock him up. And I am not gonna fly directly at him, because I don't need to. The missile has enough kinetic energy at this altitude, at this range. So I instantly start cranking before I even fire. And we let the missile do its thing. Once it's close enough, we defend versus his missile. We go cold. We are not very fast, but our missile is well in range. We shoot him down. And now we still need to be careful, because we haven't actually defeated the missile. You can hear it. There you go. We dodged it by pulling down last second. And that's just a little bit of missile experience. Now, yes, I'm not too familiar with the missiles just yet. But when you see a missile, you know approximately when it's about to hit you that it's something that you just have to get used to. A missile without fuel is nowhere near as agile after like a few seconds, because it's going to lose a lot of its speed. Especially with a Mika that has thrust vectoring, it is going to be hampered quite badly once the motor runs out. Same deal here. We shoot the AIM-120. We start notching. Why? I want to be safe. I don't like dying. I did die quite a bit trying to test some stuff. But the games are also a lot quicker. They're even more one-sided. And overall, I think that they are a lot more still. But, you know, that's just a matter of opinion. We start re-engaging. We have the TWS on. And we lock a guy at 27 kilometers flying directly at us. So what do? We prime our missile. We fly directly at him. And we start already going kind of side on. We start cranking a little bit. Not really too much. 18 kilometers at this altitude as he's pitching up at me. He's well inside the MAR. But I'm not really confident on the first missile. I want to have him to think about something else as well in case he defeats the first one. Because I have to go defensive now. Luckily for us, the first missile does its thing. We defeat his missile. But in case he did notch our first one, we have a second missile on the way, preventing him from turning in. Now, luckily, the first one actually does slap him down. We dodge his missile, and we go into the last match of today. A little bit of a longer range, 40 kilometers, and again, I am gonna wait for them to get a little bit closer. Yes, you can launch these things off at like 40 kilometers, and at this altitude, it will probably kill them. But I just like having them a little bit closer, because that makes the missile a lot harder to dodge. But yeah, that's basically it. BVR is pretty simple. You just need to know the basics, and once you do, you are going to be completely fine. Of course, there are more interesting matchups, interesting engagements, but for now, I just want to give you the very brief basics, as no one really knows what to do yet. So having good engagements for now is also quite hard to get. So I will make a guide on that, probably in a custom battle in the near future. But first, we want to take a look at some of the new vehicles. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. Either gonna be the Mirage 2000 or the Su-27 SM. Thank you all for watching, and you'll see me in the next one.